Here we go.
There it goes. All right. This should work.
Hello there.
Hi. I take it I was calling the wrong number.
Yeah.
I was getting the shot. I was going, we're not here. It's like, but wait.
Oh, I know. I was listening. Actually, I was listening. I was listening to the live feed. And I'm like, okay, how do I contact her? Cause I'm glad you said you were streaming. I don't know. I'm glad you said you were looking at Facebook.
Yeah, I'm always. Yeah, no, I'm always looking at Facebook. We always have the Facebook feed up because people do send in messages to the Got Mead Facebook page, which is. I prefer them to do it like on Twitter or something just because it's easier for me to track, but, it is what it is. So, welcome. Awesome. Welcome to the show. Now that we finally got you.
Thank you.
And, let's get things going. You sent me, like, a ton of information, which is really cool. And, I took your tasting and pairing notes that you gave me and put them on the show page for this episode to so people can see what your meads are and what to pair them with. So y'all out there listening, go to the show page and you can see all about Amy's meads and what to pair them with. So let's get things going. So I know you sent me a whole bunch of stuff, but I just like to ask people, tell us a little bit about you and and how you guys got started.
Let's see. So John actually had the ball rolling by the time I met him. He started beekeeping in the middle of college. And ended up starting his own honey company from that. And years later, when I met him, he was making mead as, a hobby. Mm-hmm. And then, that was a pretty long story that I typed out.
Yeah. It was interesting, though. I read it all.
Mm-hmm. So I definitely was a honey fan before I met him, and like I said, he had a honey company, and I knew that. I knew that I was meeting, when I met him at a party, a friend of mine took me to a party at his house, and I knew I was meeting, the guy that runs HoneyRun Honey. I'm like, oh, cool. Sounds neat, lives up in the canyon, out on a dirt road, and it's like, sounds great, let's go. So it was sort of a raging party. We were drinking some of his 18% straight mead, and we were kind of playing with orange juice and different things in it, and people were standing on the chairs singing songs, and we were barbecuing and just running around having a grand old time. So we ended up dating after that, and trying to think how it all. Well, you don't want to know how it all went down.
Well, we don't need the gory details. The show is marked as explicit, but we have to draw the line somewhere.
No, we a lot of his friends bugged him to start selling the wine, and so I worked on the licensing, and we decided to go ahead and build the winery, and he did a lot of the welding and the fabricating, and we call it pounding and fitting. And then I did a lot of the...
I like that.
Yes, pound to fit, paint to match. Our neighbor gave us a sign that said pound to fit, paint to match. And, oh yeah, that story. As we were engaged, he told me, oh yeah, we have $2,000 budget for the honeymoon, and you can get a good Club Med for that. And I had this whole Mayan ruin trip all scoped out, and he had this cute brochure on the kitchen table for a $125 kayak rental up in Seattle. And then he said, yeah, and we're about $2,000 away from finishing off what we need for the winery. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's good to know. Good to know, honey. And he said, but it's the same $2,000. I said, oh.
Oops.
We're not going to Cancun. Give me that brochure for that kayak. We're going to go take that kayak ride then. We're going to finish the winery. So we ended up, we did get married.
Well, that's good.
In 91.
since you gave up the honeymoon and all, you know.
In 91. We did go on the honeymoon. We paddled.
Kayaking instead of,
We paddled. We did end up going down to Cancun, I think, for our 7th anniversary, so that was nice. That was nice. And so I actually was pregnant by the time all of the approvals came. Everybody knows how long that took. It took us a year. It took me a year to compile everything. The paperwork was 3/4 of an inch thick. It took John 10 minutes to sign it. Straight, just 10 minutes straight, signature. And so that was definitely an undertaking.
Oh, I'll bet.
And I remember I did my first set of sales calls while I was 8 months pregnant, which is interesting to do, but it worked. Chico's a pretty laid-back town. And then at that time I was just finishing up with some of my schoolwork, and still we had a honey company going. We still had the pollen company going. We sold bulk drums to bakeries. We sold bulk buckets to other smaller bakeries, cafes, and things like that. So we had about 5 of us working between the winery and the honey.
Wow.
So it was a pretty big. Yeah, it was pretty big. I calculated it out at one point. It was like the most that we did was 1,500 drums a year of honey, and that was quite a bit. So in '94, I actually started doing the winemaking. So for 2 years, I guess that's 3 years. For about 3 years, John was doing honey and wine in his spare time, and I was still doing school and newborn baby for a while. So in '94, I started taking over the winemaking from him, and then I actually did a lot of chemistry in high school, lots and lots of chemistry in high school, and about a semester and a half in college as well. So that sure as heck does help.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah. So that was long ago. What do we have? Started out with 200-gallon tanks, and then moved the honey operation to our hometown in 1995. And then a year later, I said, okay, let's get out of the garage. And the garage was stuffed. We had a warm room that could hold 4 tanks. Actually, I called it the opposite room. So we had an insulated room that could hold 4 tanks, and then we had 6 tanks out in the garage in the ambient temperature. So in the winter, the warm room was, in the winter, the room was the fermenting room, and in the summer, the fermenting was out in the garage, and the chilling was in the finishing was in the insulated room where we could run the air conditioner. And then, so in '96 we got to move into a much, much bigger building, and that one had its fun story too, because the juice showed up on time, but the tanks didn't show up on time.
Oh, no.
And yes, so 5 tanks that are 650 gallons.
Holy crap.
And so, and an amount of juice that you've, never even dealt with before.
Yeah. Holy cow.
So I stayed at the place. I stayed at work for 3 days straight, filling the tanks, and just nonstop. I mean, it just at 6 gallons a minute. It takes a while, and then you still have to mix. That's just the water. So still, you still have to mix and heat and get the honey, get the honey to flow and mixed in, and it was like 3 days straight, and I was sweating it.
Oh man, were you guys using honey liquefiers at that point in time?
Well, we actually have, since we had the honey company, we have a really large insulated melting room. So I actually can heat a room full of honey. I can heat 20 drums of honey.
Wow.
Yes. I can heat a room full of honey.
I know in my mind I'm thinking like the great amber room in Russia, like, ooh, that's really cool. That's really neat.
Oh. Yeah, and then the anecdote there was during one of those nights I got up. It was, I got up to turn the air conditioning on or the air conditioning off or something like that. And then a little bit later the cops showed up. And the cops showed up.
That's never good.
And I'm just like in this little, we had this little side room with a futon and, a little TV for the kids. And so I see the car lights and I see flashlights and they're flashing inside the windows and down the alley and everything like that. And I'm thinking I better lay low. This is awful. And then they wouldn't go away, and they kept with their flashlights into the building. And I realized, oh, they're looking for me.
How long had we been in there without sleep at that point?
Well, like they saw my light, So there was a night watchman across the street that saw the light turn on, and he called the cops.
Well, I guess it's good.
So here I am
was paying attention.
So I'm like, oh my gosh, how do you tactfully leave a building with cops outside? Like, hi, it's me.
Hi, this is my place.
Here.
Yeah,
Look,
I've been living here.
I wasn't even living there. Like,
well, I know, but I mean, like, just there, because you were late and everything. Yeah, it's my place and everything.
I'm stuck here.
They won't let me leave until I fill these tanks. It's horrible.
I'm trapped. Trapped by my company. I'm trapped by my business.
My boss is a slave
we didn't know anyone lives. I know. We didn't know anyone lives here. I'm like, I don't live here. I really don't want to live here.
Yeah. No, please get me away from this, honey. It's evil. Oh gosh.
Oh boy. Yeah, so that was definitely one of the, that was one of the stories.
But hey, at least your neighbors are looking out for you.
Yeah.
That was good. That was good. Yes, absolutely. We have had several encounters with the cops. We have automatic lights, and it's just like we call, you're there at night and you call the cops and you're just like, I have an automatic light in the middle of my building, and it turned on, and nobody, I want out. Come escort me. Come help.
Please get me out of here.
Anyway.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
So now you had commented in when you emailed me with the information that you kind of married into the industry, which cracked me up. But before you met him and did the 18% fall on your face mead party, had you had mead before that, or was that the first time?
I had not. No, that was the first time.
Wow, talk about an introduction. Here, honey, drink this. Yeah, I know you can't talk or stand up anymore, but hey. Isn't it good?
There were like 15 people here, so we were all, we were all having a good time.
Yeah. Yeah. At what point in the conversation did you discover your legs didn't work anymore?
No, they did keep working. I actually have a tendency to sort of test all tables that I meet. I kind of walk up to a table and I kind of push on it and shake on it and see if it would be good for dancing or not.
Oh no! Yeah, my grandmother broke her hip doing